Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Coach Mike with Elite Performance, and as promised, here's video number 2 for this weekend. And what I want to talk to you about is a chemical, a very, very, very bad, very dangerous chemical that the food industry adds to our food all the time. And the reason I say food is because real food doesn't have chemicals in it. So if there's a chemical in it, I personally just don't consider it food. So the chemical is MSG, which stands for monosodium glutamate. Now, monosodium glutamate is an excitotoxin, which means it excites the reward centers of your brain in a very toxic way. All right, so before I go more into MSG, let me try to explain what glutamate is, because the chemical is monosodium glutamate, which basically, keeping this real simple, means monosodium, one sodium molecule attached to a glutamate molecule. Now, what is glutamate? Glutamate is a neurotransmitter. Right? It's an amino acid, so it has to do with the brain. And it's something that occurs naturally in our bodies. It's something that occurs naturally in food. And it's responsible for making us feel good. Right? It turns on the pleasure centers of the brain. Right? So glutamate is a wonderful thing. I wouldn't want to live on Earth without glutamate. Right? Glutamate makes you feel good. The problem is when man makes glutamate, all right? And the thing that happens is that the glutamate is now concentrated and it's in extremely high doses. So it's way more than the body can produce, or way more that you get from any kind of food. So now it's, instead of activating the brain's reward centers, it excites the brain in a toxic way, which is why it's called an excitotoxin. Now, glutamate, monosodium glutamate, MSG, is in a lot of foods, and I'm going to get to like the stuff that is in a minute, but the bigger question is, why would the food industry want to put something in the food that's going to excite your brain? Like, what's the point? Well, the point is that you can make dirt taste good with MSG, right? Dirt, literal dirt. I'm talking dust, debris, ashes, dirt. You can literally make dirt taste good, because the MSG is a chemical that is tricking your brain, basically. It's turning on neurons and it's making your brain think something that's not true. So the food industry can sell you food that has no nutritional value, that costs literally pennies to make, and has absolutely no taste, and you'll eat it, and you'll keep eating it, and you'll keep going back for it, because the MSG is tricking your brain into thinking something tastes good, but it doesn't. All right? And so eating foods with MSG creates severe nutritional deficiencies, because it's the nutrients in food that makes it taste good, specifically the minerals. Okay? And minerals come from the soil. Minerals don't come from a plant. What happens is there are minerals in the soil, and there's bacteria in the soil. And the bacteria eats the minerals, and then the plant eats the bacteria, and then you eat the plant, so you get the minerals, and it tastes good. An example is, this is why a peach from a farmer's market tastes so much different than a peach from a grocery store. Even if the grocery store has some name that's trying to make you think that they're better than the other ones, like it might be Earth something or Whole something. It's all coming from the same commercial farm. There are no minerals in the stuff. So you become nutritionally deficient. And once you're nutritionally deficient, you've opened the door for every disease. Every disease. All right. Linus Pauling, God won the Nobel Prize for Chemistry. One of his most famous quotes was, you can link every chronic disease to a mineral deficiency. So eating minerally deficient food is very bad for your health. Now, the only way to get you to eat minerally deficient food is to put MSG in it. Because like I said, you can make dirt taste good with MSG. And so the food industry puts it into your food. And it literally excites the neurons in your brain, and it can cause damage to the brain because your brain you have like 5 different brain states. I'm only going to talk about one. Beta brain state. Like if we hook you up to a functional brain scan, and right now we're in beta. We're in beta because I'm making this video. We're in beta because you're watching this video. Beta waves kind of look like this, right? But then you have what's called high beta, a very, 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 very bad place for the brain to be. And high beta brain waves look like this. It's a very agitated place. And this is where monosodium glutamate takes your brain. So if you're a person with depression, if you're a person with anxiety, if you're a child with autism or schizophrenia, bipolar, anything that's, for lack of a better term, funky brain chemistry, glutamate is going to make a bad situation even worse. And it'll also affect your body weight because you will think something tastes good that doesn't. Like, realistically, think about how a chicken nugget looks. It looks shiny and hard. It doesn't look like it tastes good. The only reason they can sell them is because it's MSG in it. We can look at one of those, you go to the gas station in the United States, you can go to the gas station and buy like a burger wrapped up. It's kind of frozen. You got to put it in the microwave. You can buy all kind of food that you got to do that to in America. And if you really look at that burger, that don't look like any kind of red meat, beef that I've ever seen before in my life. What is that? Yet they sell those things every day because of the monosodium glutamate. Like, you can literally make anything taste good. And so the food industry, it's not like they're trying to hurt you. I'm not sitting here saying anything about a conspiracy theory or nothing like that. It's all about dollars. They can make a lot of money off a cheap product. And so they put these things into the food and they're harming your brain. It's like, in order to do a study on obesity or in order to do a study on type 2 diabetes, these experiments that they do, they need, mice. And so they need fat mice. You can't do a study on obesity with a bunch of skinny mice. So how do they make the mice fat for these studies? They give them MSG. All right, so if the MSG is making the mice fat and giving them type 2 diabetes and all of these things, it's doing the same exact thing to you, right? Now, if we go back to the beginning, they used to say MSG, 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 and then everybody started to know what MSG was and was trying to avoid it. Everybody thought it had something to do with Chinese food, which has something to do with not necessarily Chinese food, but an ingredient in Chinese food. But once people started knowing what it was, they stopped putting MSG on the label. If you live in the United States of America, you can find any food, with the exception of accent, that seasoning, that says there's MSG. If you can find it on the label, man, you're good. Because nowadays what they do is they put it as the name monosodium glutamate, because they know people know what MSG is, and if you see MSG, you probably won't buy it. But over the past few years, even the term monosodium glutamate has become at least known to the population, and so they don't always put that term on the label either. They hide MSG, in other words, right? In the United States of America, the FDA does not require food manufacturers or distributors or whatever they are to put everything on that label. All right, the only thing that has to be listed on the label as far as ingredients is anything that they consider food stuff. I don't know what food stuff is, but if it's considered food stuff, they have to put it on the label. If it's considered flavor enhancer, if it's considered a preservative, if it's considered some other emulsifying chemical or whatever, they don't have to put it on the label. So side note, it's as many labels as you can look at and not even be able to read what that stuff, how to pronounce those words. Just understand, the really bad stuff ain't even on the label. They can hide it in terms like natural flavors. Natural flavors most often means glutamate, at least. You know, there can be hundreds of chemicals hidden in that term. Example is Neapolitan ice cream, and I'm not even going to a brand, but Neapolitan ice cream has about 300 and something chemicals in it and aren't listed on the label. It's hidden in words like natural flavor, artificial flavor, and stuff like that. So it's not just that they're hiding MSG in that term, they're hiding a whole bunch of stuff. So terms like natural flavors, artificial flavors, most of the chemical sugars, high fructose corn syrup, high maltose corn syrup, maltodextrin, definitely aspartame. But not so much aspartame with the MSG, but it is an excitotoxin, so that's a little bit different. But they hide it in all of these other terms. So if you're looking at something like, you know, the sports drinks, you look on the label, you're going to see natural flavors. It has glutamate in it. Ketchup, barbecue sauce, ranch. If it comes in a box or a bag, for the most part, anything in a can has MSG in it, monosodium glutamate. And I'm not saying don't eat ketchup. I'm saying find ketchup that's organic, that doesn't have all the other stuff in it. All right? Like I said, they can hide words in different terminology, but if you see artificial flavor, natural flavor, like I said, any of the chemical sugars, hydrolyzed protein, they hide MSG in that term. Hydrolyzed protein is that burger from the gas station I was just talking about. They hide MSG in soy and soy products. Now that's only in the United States of America. You leave the United States of America and, you know, soy is one of the most healthy things you can eat. But here, you know, different story. And soy in America is bioengineered to increase estrogen. So keep that in mind, guys. Soy increases estrogen. But they hide the MSG in all of these other terms. So I just feel as though you'd be prudent to remove the MSG from your diet. You know, are you going to get it out 100%? Living here, it'll be hard. I'm not going to say anything is impossible. I'm just going to say it'll be very, 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 very hard. But can you limit it as much as possible? Absolutely, you can. Because anything that excites your brain, anything that takes you into a high beta state, basically you just took, well, basically control was taken away from you of your own emotions. You can't control yourself when your brain is agitated like that. If you can't control yourself, you can't control your vibration. You can't control your vibration. You can't control how you feel. You can't control how you feel. You cannot control what you will attract to you. And someone can literally control your life from another side of the planet just by exciting your brain, because you're just going to make bad decisions about everything because your brain is just so chemically, and you don't know how to control it, because you can't, because the MSG is controlling your brain. So, guys, as much as you can, the fast food, stay away from it as much as you can. If it comes in a can, there's definitely MSG in it. If it comes in a bag or a box, 9 times out of 10, there's going to be MSG in it. Now, again, I'm not saying you can't find organic things. I'm not saying that you have to just not ever have ketchup another day in your life. I have ketchup downstairs. It's just organic. It just has literally 2 ingredients in it. I can find applesauce, or I can just make the stuff myself. I'm real good for that. I would just make it all from scratch. And so I know there's no MSG in it. But as much as you can, I would definitely try to stay away from that poison. I'm not saying putting the poison in my food that's going to affect my body is better than putting the poison in my food that's going to affect my brain. But if I had to make a choice, don't mess with my brain. Because, don't mess with my brain. Because now you can control me. So, until next time, guys, which will be a lot sooner than, a month or two. I'm Coach Mike with Elite Performance. You guys take care. Have a great day.